So another big topic this week in wrestling is that Warner Media and AEW have allegedly they have a deal. Money's in place. All right. According to SE Scoops, Warner and AEW have reached a deal in principle, meaning that they have not signed any contracts. They have not done any of the legal paperwork, but the word is out that they have come to an agreement and that they have reached a deal in principle. There is no dollar amount that has been reported or mentioned. We don't know much about the deal other than the fact that it looks like AEW content will be heading to Max. Max is the official streaming service of Warner Media, and this would also include pay-per-views. I assume that this would include some of their back catalog of TV shows as well. An announcement is set to be made over the next several weeks. So first things first, I need to know, bro, how do you feel about the fact that Warner and AEW have a new deal in place? There's money, there's an extension. Let me know how you feel.
Well, congratulations to them first and foremost. People could say the product is bad, which it has been off and on this year, more so bad than good, but we still need them. So, congratulations for them getting the TV deal. I think with Warner Discovery, they need something. All they got is hockey at this moment,
Yeah.
baseball, and now that TNT is leaving next season, they definitely needed something. So, shouts out to AEW for getting that, getting that, and then it helps the workers again. So, you know, the biggest thing is the pay per views. They got to figure that out because nobody really has $50 just to spend on the pay per view. So,
Yeah.
if you plan on having the pay per views on HBO Max, I think that helps. Uh, the money part, they will have to work that out because they're so used to having, just like the old school thing, you get $50 to the pay per view, that's going straight to the company. So now they got to
Yeah.
figure out how they, or whatever figure they get, I guess that compensate for the money they would get for $50. It's not a lot of people spending $50 to begin with on pay per
Yeah.
views these days. It's not like coming up you had to watch it because we didn't have the internet and the economy was better, so you would spend $50. Now you got to kind of think about it. Hell, you got to think about when you spending $20 on groceries. You got to be like, shit, can I get this for 13 somewhere?
Right.
So I think it works out well. They definitely need that catalog of pay per views and episodes on there, because again, I can find these episodes online. I could find
Yeah.
these pay per views online. I have a
Yeah.
couple of them, stored in a Dropbox as bootlegging. But if you had them somewhere we could watch it, it works out well.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of agree with where you stand as far as the deal. One of the things that's important to note, we are wrestling fans. We
Yeah.
analyze the sport, we analyze the business. But one thing that we have to keep in mind is that it is extremely difficult to not only start any form of company, but to run it in such a way where you are getting money in order to sustain the longevity and the stability of the company. Regardless of what you feel about the AEW product, we are 5 years into the genesis of this company, and they have been able to secure multiple media rights deals from media companies across the world. We talk about Warner most prominently because Warner is a US based media company, but they've been able to strike deals with other companies elsewhere. And so to be able to have international distribution in place as well as a national media provider that allows them to be broadcasted into millions of homes is a big deal. And it shouldn't be taken lightly. We throw these numbers and these figures and these headlines around, but this is a major thing. This is major news. Not everyone can do what Tony Khan has done. Not everyone can do what AEW has done. So I feel like major kudos to them for being able to secure this deal. With that being said, I think there's a lot of things to consider. Max is the fourth most popular streaming service in the world. I believe that pay-per-views moving to Max would be major for them because it gains them a lot more visibility than if they were just going by a pay-per-view model, right? When we look at WWE and their relationship with Peacock, we are seeing that WWE is hitting record numbers. Most viewed Backlash ever, most viewed WrestleMania ever, most viewed insert PLE name viewed ever, right? A large part of that is because it's not just available to wrestling fans who watch the wrestling product on TV. It's available to whoever has Peacock. And you may lure in a couple people by, hey, what's this on tonight? I never heard of this, but I'll watch it. It's a very real thing. And now AEW pay-per-views are going to have a much larger potential of reaching a lot more people because it's going to be available on a lot more platforms than just by way of hearing it through AEW and their social media channels. So I think that that is a very, very big upside. As far as the figures, I would imagine that whatever figure that they're giving them is going to compensate for the average amount of pay-per-view buys they get, maybe in a little bit more, considering that from a sports media perspective, they don't have as many properties, so they have a little bit more money to work with. Now, if Warner is profitable enough to sustain that is going to be for the next topic. But I think that AEW has been positioned to be able to receive a good amount of money just based off the fact that they're meeting a need and that they're filling a void when it comes to sports media properties in this company. Um, so there's that. But I think that this is a great move. I think also there were a lot of things that happened recently that we didn't really talk about that I think positioned them for this move. I think that the Collision Summer Series definitely added an appeal to the deal because, you know, Banks mentioned one time that AEW spending 9 to $10 million in excess on talent. And, that's, even though that's a lot of money, that's okay. But I feel like as an investor of a company, as an executive of a company, I need to see this money to work. And I also need to see you using the dollars that you have being used wisely, right? When you take this show and you put it in an environment where there's a hot crowd, where there isn't a lot of travel expenses included, or there isn't a lot of travel expenses kind of factored in the way that it would if you were moving from city to city. I think that it kind of sends the message that, hey, yes, we're spending a lot on talent, but we're also trying to save a lot of money on other things while not sacrificing the quality of the product. And I think that the fact that they were able to kind of do that, I think it speaks volumes to the Warner Media executives. But and I also feel like as much as it's not talked about, Tony Khan started playing nice with WWE. And what I mean by that is if you look at when they're going to be airing Collision next week, it's going to be 2 hours before SummerSlam. There was a time where he was trying to go head to head. And then in an interview, he also said one time that WWE was the Harvey Weinstein of pro wrestling. That's a heavy statement. I don't think there were any positive connotations meant to that. But more recently, when somebody asked if he would be willing to do business with the WWE, that tone changed. He said, I don't know if they're interested, but I would be interested in doing an event like that. And while that may not mean a lot to wrestling fans, it means a lot to media executives because we know that WWE is the big dog. And we know that companies are more willing to invest in other companies that are willing to collaborate with companies that can bring in more profit. And we don't know if a WWE AEW crossover is going to happen, but the fact that Tony is open to it means that he's mature enough from a business standpoint to not shut any doors prematurely or to shut any doors via preference. At least that is the public perception of it. But I'm just glad that AEW and Warner have a deal, and now looks like AEW is going to last longer than WCW. It's going to last longer than Monday Nitro. I know that's a fact. I know Collision is going to have more. Not Collision. I know Dynamite is going to have more episodes than Nitro. So I don't know how Eric Bischoff is going to take to that. But let us know how you feel about this deal. But speaking of deals, I feel like there's something larger happening in sports that has heavy implications on wrestling. And thank you guys so much for watching the Culture 316 podcast. If you liked what you saw, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe so that you guys can stay up to date with all upcoming videos and events pertaining to Culture 316.